Hey, what happened to femininity within women? Today, we see a lot of men that are talking about us walking in our masculine, being very masculine. They feel like they're in relationships with another man. We see it in, um, that's like one of the biggest complaints. And we see it in just in 2025. There is a major difference when it comes to our women. And I wanted to really talk about that and kind of bring some things out. And, first of all, what is femininity? And everybody has their definition of femininity. But for me, femininity brings me back to the 30s and the 40s, the 30s all the way to I think the 60s, right? Femininity to me is wisdom, a woman with wisdom, a softness about a woman, the way she speaks, her tone. Femininity to me is giving respect, having respect for herself, standards. Femininity to me is her beauty, being a nurturer. That's femininity. We're feminine. We're nurturing people, right? So in our nurturing, the way we speak, and not all the time we're going to be, oh, and this and that. But there is a way that we can relay or we can convey a message to someone without being masculine, without getting out of our femininity. Our femininity is our power for the most part, right? So I'm bringing this message. Look at my neighbors. I'm like, does anybody work on Mondays? So anyway, I wanted to tell you my definition of it, and you may have your own definition of it, and I'm sure the men will chime in here and talk about what they see as feminine, right? There now, and I get it, because I remember I was looking at something where the women were talking about it back in their days. Their grandmothers and their great-grandmothers didn't have the right to open up a bank account. They didn't have a right to, of course, not have their own businesses. And it was a lot of things that they were not able to do. So at that time, it was really, really important for them to have a great provider, a good husband, that would give her some type of freedom, because everything was done through the man, right? And so with that, when they start having us, their children, they started saying, make sure you get a good education, right? Because then we were allowed to get education, right? Make sure they weren't even allowed to vote. So make sure you get a good education. Make sure you vote. Make sure you, succeed in life. Get that good job, because they weren't able to do it. They sacrificed a lot. Maybe they had husbands. A lot of them had husbands, right? The rate at that time was 61% of them being married. Today, we're at 29% of marriages. I'm talking about in the Black family. Okay. So when we look at those different things, I understand the masculinity. We have a weight on our shoulders as women a lot of times, because we may come from a single parent home. Our mothers were the single parent, right? Or our fathers were the single parent, right? So if we have our fathers, that's a different thing. But I just wanted to acknowledge it. But when it comes to the women, it was single moms. So we watched them work. We watched them do 2 and 3 jobs. We watched them clean the house, make sure the kids get to school. We had to get them dressed, whatever the case may be, so that is our reality. And make no mistake about it when I'm speaking about us as a Black family. That's a lot that goes on in other communities as well, especially in the Caucasian community. When you think about welfare and different things, they don't talk about it, but they are on welfare. There are single parenting homes there as well. And it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you were in a single parent home where you grew up and majority of your time was with your mom, that your father wasn't involved, right? But I say all this to say is that because of that, we have more so operated not necessarily just in the masculine role, but we've also were in survivor mode. So a lot of us, we don't even realize it as we go through life and education and the different things that we go through. We are acting in our survival mode because that's what we were taught. We saw our mothers do it, that they were taught to be in survival mode. They got to figure out how to get through this. And that a lot of times causes us to work and operate in our masculinity. I'm sorry, I'm getting hot. I should have turned the car on, but anyway. So I look at that and then I remembered one of the things I love, guys, when I dress up, I love chiffon. I think about back in the days, you know, when we had those women, they had soft satin dresses. They wore dresses. They didn't wear pants. A lot of them did not wear pants. It wasn't until later on in the 20s and 30s they didn't wear pants. They knew how to speak. They had a tone about them. When I think about the Betty Davises, and she was known for, you know, she was very strong-willed. The Betty Davises, the Lana Turners, the Diana Ross, the Diane Carroll. Ooh, the epitome of a lady. Just the way she talked, the way her mannerism, all these different things. She was just very poised. We have some beautiful, classy women, the Halle Berrys. We have the, I always forget her name, the one that played Tina Turner. We have very eloquent, classy women. And when you read in the Bible, those women were eloquent speaking, and they knew how to talk. They knew all these different things. And those are pluses. And there are going to be times that we have to use our masculinity when we're at work, when we're in charge of things. We're going to have to use that. So I'm not telling you to dismiss it. But what I am saying is that we have to get back to our femininity, even in our clothing. You can go today. Now, I'm going to tell you, I live in Miami, and the strip clubs, I mean, they're not hiring like they used to, right? Because they don't have to. The men were coming in there because of the feminine environment that they were in. You got the women, and they're dancing, and they're exotic. And it's like, what do you mean, Lee? You talking about the strip club? Yeah, and they were naked. But the men go in there, and they do business deals. They eat in there. And yeah, they get entertained as well. But it was a softness, a sexiness about the woman. And that's the attraction. Well, the reason why I said that they're not hiring like they used to, because a lot of you are coming out and you're wearing what the strippers wear to the grocery store, to concerts and everything. And it's normal to walk around in lingerie, right? And so there was a time where no one was exposing themselves like that. Even when you think about the beautiful Marilyn Monroe, and she was the epitome of sexiness or whatever. She wasn't out there bouncing. She had a bathing suit on, and she did the thing where the dress blew up, but you didn't see her. Now, she was something else. She was known to be something else, but we didn't see that. We didn't see her. She wasn't walking around with her breast exposed. She wasn't wearing a see-through dress and nothing to cover it up. She wasn't doing that, right? So when we look at that, she carried herself in a way, and she knew how to be alluring. She knew how to speak. She knew that her power was in her femininity, right? So she gave you a piece, and a lot of women at that time gave you you wondered. It left men wondering, and they desired those women, right? And we have women like that today, right? But today we have Instagram, and we have OnlyFans, where we don't leave anything to the imagination. It's all there. So the men are not even challenged with it, right? That's why we see where men are like, well, why I gotta marry you, and why I gotta, give you money or whatever. We're making millions of dollars off of our sexuality. We think that a lot of times we think that our femininity is for men. Our femininity is not for men. Our femininity is for ourselves. Our femininity allows us to be our true, authentic self as women, right? And so when I started off the video, I told you that femininity is having wisdom, having discretion, being nurturing, right? Part of nurturing is being able to love someone, right? Being nurturing is not just having the love. Being nurturing as a woman, or operating in that femininity, if you have a spouse and they come home, they can rest in your arms because they done fought all out in the world, and they can come home and they can rest in your arms and be sure that they're safe there, that there's a safe place to be vulnerable. That's what femininity do. But when we're in our masculine and we have that situation, right? Whether it's your son, whether it's your daughter, whoever it is in those relationships, they require us to be nurturing. And nurturing is part of femininity. Allowing those relationships, being able to nurture the relationships, and being that woman that they can say, hey, I was able to be, open up about some things, and she was able to receive it and allow me to process it, and just was there. She didn't talk a lot. She just allowed me to, to be me. And believe it or not, that's what a lot of people want, not just men. Now, men definitely, that's their love language. Give them the respect, right? But your femininity is really for you. It makes you whole. It makes you not look for validation from other people, from outside. It makes you not look for validation from a man, because once you understand what you have and that gold, he says, I think it's in scripture where it talks about her price is greater than rubies, something like that. I'm just paraphrasing. When you understand what is within you, you understand that what I'm projecting out, what is it that I'm projecting out? Is it beautiful? Or is it me seeking validation? Is it me leading sexually? Is it me saying I'm not enough? Is it me saying I have a low self-esteem? Is it me saying this is all I have to offer? So when a man comes to you, right? And that's the big thing where they say, what you bring to the table. A man is not going to ask you that if you're operating in your femininity. So I'm trying to get you guys to understand operating in your power. So your femininity first starts with you. It is part of your self-love. It is part of you understanding you don't have to go out there and fight all the time. You don't have to be in survival mode. And we have to get to that place. It's not in today where women don't even have a wardrobe. They don't even have a dress in their closet. They don't even know what that's like, because everything is athletic. Everything is spandex. Everything is tight, so on and so forth, right? So we don't even know how to dress anymore. We don't know how to be discreet anymore. That is all a part of your femininity. And I just wanted to bring that out because I'm like, man, I'm looking at TV, I'm looking at social medias, and I'm seeing these women, and I'm like, oh, and they like, look at me, I'm alluring. But you're just really selling something that's not even you, because you have not been taught how to tap into your femininity. And so that is a part of your beauty, how you take care of yourself. You would never even think about walking around with a bonnet on your head. You would never leave the house unclean. You would always leave the house, or even walking around your home, you would make sure you smell good, you look good, right? That's being real with yourself, because that's what a woman is, right? So we have to figure out what our definition of a woman is, but in that, make sure that we don't lose that femininity side of us, being feminine. It is not a weakness to be feminine. It is actually a strong, powerful thing. And it lets men know that you are a force to be reckoned with. They recognize the power. I'm going to leave with this. I had someone a few times tell me, and this is not to brag, that when I enter a room, it shifts. They said to me, and these are men, they say, hey, it's the way you carry yourself. It's the way you speak, right? Now, I have not always been that way, okay? Especially in my younger days. I have not always been that way. However, what they're really saying is, I see your power, right? And so we don't have to get on social media, and we don't have to be cursing and carry on. We don't have to do any of that. What we can do is embrace it and understand it. Start learning about it. Start watching videos. There's a ton of videos on it. There's books about it. Embrace your femininity, All right. So my question again, what happened to femininity within you, within your family, within the women? What happened to it, and how can we get back to what was an example of for us today before? How can we bring that back into today? All right. I pray this video has blessed you. I will see you guys on the next video, and thank you for liking and sharing. I'll see you next time. Bye.